Good morning, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. This is a Case of the Mondays. We are live. I wanted to talk about a few topics today. I mainly plan to talk about ways to plan your week and use technology to do that. But it's September 11th, so I do want to carve out some time to appreciate this day and to share a little bit about my experience with September 11th in 2001. And September 11th really has two events attached to it for me personally, but we'll start with the attack on the trade towers. So on September 11th, 2001, I think I was about 25 years old, and I was running a home child care program in my home on Camp Pendleton for Marine families. And I just remember that being an ordinary day until about, I think, somewhere near 10 a.m., where I got a phone call from my ex-husband, and he just kind of told me to turn on the TV. And I think at that point, all the channels were broadcasting the tragedy that was going on and unfolding. So it's definitely a memorable day. I definitely have a narrow perspective and remembrance. There's tons of first responders that we're all just so grateful for and for their families. So it's definitely a day to spread some love and honor them. The other event that is attached to September 11th happened in 2010. So I'll share a picture of my grandfather, Haskell Dunlap. And he was a World War II veteran. He had a Purple Heart and just a really amazing, wonderful guy. I can't say enough about the impact he had on my life, just growing up. He was just really a man's man, but whenever I got to speak to him on the phone, him and my grandmother, Lois, were just the most amazing people. They were just so authentic and genuine, and you could really, even as a small child, I think I really had a lot of time to talk to them on the phone, mostly between the ages of like 5 and 9. And his voice just really is ingrained in my memory. It never fades. I think growing up, I really got the sense that he genuinely loved my sister and I and my grandma Lois. They were just so fun to talk to. And I think sometimes he would try to talk to me and then, probably just run out of things to talk about and rush off the phone. And I just remember enjoying him and her so much that I would kind of be a little bit bummed out that the phone call was going to end. And just, they lived in Little Rock, Arkansas. So I grew up in Northern California. So we did a lot of phone calls, and they came to see me once. So I think there was just an opportunity. Growing up in the mid 70s and 80s, I don't think we had as much connectivity, especially if your relatives were kind of spread out. So it was so amazing when I did get to spend time with them or talk to them. But just a really awesome grandfather. And, all of my grandparents are amazing. So I love them both so much. Anyway, so today also kind of marks the day that he went to heaven. So moving on to the work week, I think it's really like, I know today I woke up at like 5 a.m. because I committed to this podcast and to reaching out and talking about sales and just having something to look forward to on Monday mornings. In the past, it hasn't, like, the start of the week has just always had a bit of a lag to it. And um, I would always try to find ways to trick myself into getting motivated and fired up on Monday morning. It's such an important time of the week, especially if you're in a sales professional, because of like how much goes on and how much you have to accomplish by Friday and how important that is. So I really say, first off, get attached to a really good CRM. I'm a real advocate for Bridger systems. I'll, at the end of the cast, I will put a link to where, if you're looking at ways to improve the work environment for your sales team or to get an advantage using just really new technology and simplification, I'll put a link down there where you can go and get a demo and just check it out. The people that run the company are just, they're super awesome. So I really recommend at least even just taking a look. I use the CRM pretty much to keep myself organized and to like to really do the best work that I can for the customers that I have, and to follow up and to keep the flow of business going in a way that makes sense depending on where you're at with a customer or a prospect. So I think that the better the CRM, the better the work environment for salespeople and for the customers. So it's I just organize my entire week around what I can do with the CRM, and keep myself accountable to what I'm working on, and being valuable. So I have a little share. This week, my mom and dad, they sent me some Vanelli's coffee. It's Italian. The first time they sent it to me, they sent the dark roast, which was it was really delicious, but probably a little bit more caffeinated than I should have. So they sent me just the regular Italian this time, and it's just so great to start the work week with some great coffee. I just give some love to my parents for remembering how important that is to me, and it's one of my favorite things. So in the past, when I was a younger sales professional, I kind of had I like the fun of being by the seat of your pants and just jumping into the seat in the beginning of the week and being really random. And I think that had some relative benefit to it, to just kind of not really know what you're kind of go into sometimes, and maybe on a smaller scale. But I started to create a method to like organize myself once I had a good string of prospects and customers in the pipeline. I really had to stay on top of the details. So I think early on, before I got a chance to really work with like Salesforce and some of those more developed CRM systems and information, store like archives and stuff like that. I had a binder, and I would just kind of like keep notes on each of the prospects and the customers, and would kind of move them along through different tabs in the binder, and that really represents kind of that manual process that the CRM just simplifies for you and saves so much time. And it's just like the information's there. It can't be lost like when you have it on paper. And I started to be more methodical about how I would organize my time throughout the week. And I think it's always great when you can plan out Monday through Friday. Monday's like your work day, but then Tuesday, you don't really have to like think as much about what your day is going to look like, or you don't have to spend so much time trying to put together a plan because it's already set up for you. So I'm definitely one of those kind of people that plan the days out early in the week or early in the month and really give myself a break, after that. And I think that that's something that helped me to be more, to develop more as a sales professional and just my self-confidence and have a little less anxiety. So I moved away from just random call lists and hyping up how many calls a day I could make and the numbers game, and put a little more time into like research and being more specific about the direction that I wanted to go into. And in the early days, I was working in a corporate office with UPS, and it was okay to have the plan change and just receive a list and make those calls. But I think later, as I moved to like outside sales and to more independent roles, I kind of decided that is a way to take care of some parts of business, but it's always nice to really spend the time to get to know a prospect or a company or a customer and understand some of the things that are important to them that saves them from having to like retell a story over and over and over again. It just shows so much initiative. So I'm a little more method about the way I do business now. And I think some of the things that help me with like a daily goal is to spend time checking on current events. I think reading articles and joining podcasts where professionals that are even more attentive than I am are sharing information about industry or businesses or something that's important to the research. I think that's such a great way to spend some of the time that you're not on the phone talking to somebody or in a meeting or some of those other types of ways that we get in contact with people. I think developing your sense of your industry and your market is so valuable. So those are some of the goals I have daily, is to get connected to something that I can expand on, and to make myself even more informed when I am talking to someone on the phone. This last weekend, I was chatting with an acquaintance, and we were talking shop, and the story kind of went into, sometimes there can be a corporate disconnect, and normally I like to go and connect with people in the corporate setting and the C-suites, and because those are generally, depending on the size of the company, generally the decision makers and who would be the most helpful in discussing change or improvements. So, but this conversation was more around, sometimes it is good to speak to people who are kind of on the ground level of a business and in operations, and sort of present up. So that was something that I thought was really interesting and kind of aligned with being informed about your industry and about the companies that you're talking to, or that I'm talking to understand how to best get the support that you want as a sales professional when you're bringing in new things and requesting for them to consider changing their process. So that's something that is a daily goal of mine, on top of a bunch of other things that I'm really interested in my own self development as a professional, and even with like this podcast and public speaking, and just kind of connecting with others out in the virtual world. So Kadir, thank you so much for attending and for your condolences. I definitely miss some of the things about family, and as we're all getting older, you have to deal with it. But anyway, yeah. So some other things that I think are important when you're planning your week uh, in sales is also just streamlining some of the technology that's out there. I know that there's a bit of conversation about trying to keep go back to old school ways, and really the people to people is important. You always have to. There's something about connecting with people in person that um, is significant compared to conversations over the phone. I find that sometimes if you're on the phone and you don't necessarily realize that there's a question to ask, or the person on the other end doesn't necessarily um, think about a piece of the business that needs to be brought up, then that that's something that can get missed in just a phone call. So sometimes it is really neat to meet in person, and that's just something else that's really important when I think having a good management system and planning, being able to get out in person, it takes a bit of effort. So I think that um, it's necessary. But then we also have, our virtual meetings for Zoom that simplify that as well. But I still think that there's something about just a person to person conversation that is a little bit more significant than some of the other ways that you get in touch with people. So I definitely don't believe we can take one away without and substitute it with the other. But I do love that there's so much technology that streamlines that and makes it easier to get in touch with more people and to solve more problems with people every day. So it creates a more efficient and better workday. Um, I know a lot of people that I spoke to in the past year or so mentioned Zoom Info, that it's the the new prospecting tool, and I did come across Zoom Info had created like a Zoom Info Lite that kind of offers some of the benefits of that application without the significant fees. So I was going to throw that out there, that I kind of found that if you're not needing to look up lots and lots of people or companies every day, that can be a really great way to um, help with prospecting and not have something coming out of your pocket. So it was just something I ran across this last month, and thought was pretty useful and helpful. The CRM I'm using is pretty integrated, so I don't have to necessarily have a bunch of tabs open and do a lot of separate searching. It does have a good amount of connection with ChatGTP, which I love that. It's helpful to organize your thoughts. Like I even used it for the outline for this podcast today. So I think that as long as you're keeping it in perspective, having those things kind of integrated into the same screen, it's really helpful. And that's kind of what I had to share today. So I hope that it's helpful to the sales professionals out there and to some of the other industries. I definitely love integrating technology into my life. It's definitely a game changer, and I've had the opportunity to reach some parts in my career that I wasn't sure that I could do on my own. So everybody have a wonderful day, and just lots of love. Bye.